Have you ever heard of an ancient book, forgotten and hidden for centuries, said to reveal lost details about the lives of famous heroes in the Bible? A book that expands on the stories of giants, fierce battles, divine encounters, and the hidden motives of figures like Abraham, Jacob, and Moses. This is the Book of Jasher, a mysterious text mentioned in the Bible but little known to readers today. The Book of Jasher does not merely recount stories but paints a more complete picture of the lives of those chosen by God. Imagine reading about Abraham in his early days of defiance against idolatry, standing alone against the worship of the gods of his household. Or picture Moses not only as the leader of Israel but also as a brave warrior, protecting his people and confronting Egyptian sorcerers. Jasher provides a profound insight into their lives, showing how they were shaped by intense spiritual challenges and calling us to understand their humanity better. But why, if the Book of Jasher truly expands on events we thought we knew, was it not included in the Bible? Was it considered too controversial, too powerful, or too detailed? Or perhaps this book reveals aspects of personality, struggles, and flaws in the heroes that challenge traditional beliefs? Or could it simply offer a different, deeper perspective on the divine stories we are familiar with? We will explore the Book of Jasher to unveil its mysteries, understand the lives of biblical heroes, and discover lessons on faith, courage, and destiny that this book offers. Often referred to as the Book of the Upright or the Book of the Just, Jasher holds a mysterious place in ancient biblical literature. Although mentioned alongside other sacred texts, the historical journey of Jasher is shrouded in mystery. If you are new here, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to never miss our latest videos. Unlike the books of the Bible, preserved through carefully documented traditions, Jasher was forgotten and nearly lost over the centuries. It was first mentioned in Joshua 10 verse 13, which recounts the day the sun stood still when God intervened to give Israel victory over the Amorites. Later, in 2 Samuel 1 verse 18, David's lament for Saul and Jonathan draws inspiration from this book, borrowing from its poetic tradition to emphasize the significance of the moment. However, beyond these references, we have little direct information from canonical texts, leaving numerous unanswered questions. What is Jasher? Is it a historical chronicle, a collection of heroic tales, or a poetic archive of Israel's greatest figures? These questions have been buried by time, leaving only fragments of speculation and theory. Although not included in the Hebrew Bible, Jasher became a subject of fascination for many Jewish and Christian scholars. It is believed that Jasher may originally have been a collection of oral histories, retold over generations to preserve the memory of heroes and record divine acts for Israel's future. Storytelling in ancient culture was not merely entertainment but a way to preserve identity, transmit values, and educate future generations. In this sense, Jasher might have been a treasured reminder of Israel's origin and purpose, containing stories that inspired courage and loyalty to God's laws. However, as history progressed, physical copies of Jasher were lost, obscured by invasions, exiles, and shifting cultural priorities. Some early church fathers mention Jasher with respect but also skepticism, as it was not part of the formal biblical canon. By the time of the Council of Carthage in 397 CE, when the list of books comprising the Old and New Testaments was established, Jasher was excluded, gradually transitioning from an accepted text to an apocryphal relic. During the medieval period, Jasher's reputation transformed, shrouded in rumors of hidden knowledge. This perception was further solidified in the 17th century when a manuscript claiming to be the original Jasher surfaced in Venice. While many were skeptical, some believed the manuscript preserved ancient stories passed through secret channels. Further research revealed that this version was a blend of Jewish and Midrashic traditions rather than an authentic ancient text. Nevertheless, the discovery sparked renewed interest in Jasher, leading to various translations, including a notable English version in 1840 by Morai Manuel L. Noah, who played a key role in promoting this remarkable book. But what does this rediscovered book of Jasher contain? It provides a broader perspective on biblical events, often retelling and enriching familiar stories. Jasher delves into the early life of Abraham, his defiance against idolatry, intellectual debates with his family, and confrontation with Nimrod, a powerful ruler seeking to destroy him. The story of Joseph is also expanded, depicting his journey from a beloved son to a powerful leader in Egypt, adding layers of emotion regarding his brother's jealousy and remorse. Notably, the book emphasizes Moses as not only a prophet but also a valiant general. Jasher portrays Moses leading the people of Israel into battles and overcoming pagan adversaries with courage and divine miracles. The story of Moses in Jasher extends beyond his confrontation with Pharaoh, highlighting his struggles against Egyptian sorcerers and demonstrating that his power came from a higher authority. Jasher does not merely recount stories but highlights essential spiritual values. The stories of Abraham, Joseph, and Moses all emphasize faithfulness to God, the power of divine justice, and transformation through trials. Abraham dared to oppose idolatry to affirm his faith in the one true God. Joseph overcame pain and betrayal with unwavering loyalty. Moses, with the help of angels and God's power, led the Israelites out of slavery. Although not included in the canonical Bible, Jasher has profoundly influenced many generations. This book adds layers of meaning to familiar stories, challenging readers not to see the characters as distant legends but as real people with faith, struggles, and decisions that shaped history. More than a historical record, Jasher encourages readers to view the journey of faith as part of a broader divine plan. The stories in Jasher emphasize that human actions, no matter how small, carry profound significance in their relationship with God and the history of humanity. It reminds us that faith is not just an abstract concept but a challenging yet empowering choice in life. The Book of Jasher, once mentioned in ancient texts, gradually faded from its original role as a recognized text to become a forgotten and mysterious relic during the medieval period. Its reputation continued to evolve in the 17th century when a manuscript claimed to be the original Jasher surfaced in Venice. Although many doubted its authenticity, some believed it preserved ancient stories passed down through secret channels. Later research revealed this text to be a blend of Jewish and Midrashic traditions rather than an original ancient manuscript. Nevertheless, the discovery reignited interest in Jasher's content, with various translations emerging, including a notable English version in 1840 by Morai Manuel L. Noah, who played a significant role in promoting the book. So, what does this rediscovered book contain? Jasher provides a deeper insight into biblical events, often retelling and expanding familiar stories. From detailed descriptions of Abraham's defiance against idolatry, debates with his family, and confrontation with Nimrod, a powerful ruler seeking to destroy him, to Joseph's journey from a beloved son to a powerful leader in Egypt, the book enriches these narratives. It also adds emotional depth to the jealousy and remorse of Joseph's brothers. Notably, the book emphasizes Moses not only as a prophet but also as an exceptional military commander. Jasher describes Moses leading the Israelites in battles and overcoming pagan adversaries with courage and divine miracles. The story of Moses in Jasher goes beyond his confrontation with Pharaoh, highlighting his struggles against Egyptian sorcerers and demonstrating that his power came from a higher authority. Jasher also underscores ancient values such as loyalty, courage, and reverence for God's power. Each story revolves around core themes: obedience to God, the consequences of arrogance, and the belief that divine intervention shapes history. These values, though classical, resonate strongly in Jasher's unique presentation. While the canonical Bible often emphasizes brevity and focus, Jasher expands the narrative, detailing battles, inner struggles, and moments of choice. This approach helps readers see the characters not merely as distant legends but as relatable individuals grappling with faith, fear, loyalty, and doubt. The book raises the question, why was it not included in the Bible? Some scholars argue that Jasher may contain elements differing from the central themes of the Bible, portraying events that are exaggerated or more mythical than divine revelation. Others suggest its absence is merely a historical consequence. As Israel endured upheavals, some texts were preserved while others were lost. Despite being excluded from the canon, Jasher has had a lasting impact, inspiring readers and sparking debates across generations. Today, it serves as an intriguing supplement to the canonical Bible, adding layers of meaning to familiar stories and inviting us to explore the ambitions, trials, and emotions that shape the lives of heroes of faith. One of the most memorable stories in Jasher is the early life of Abraham, depicted as a young man growing up in a world steeped in idolatry and corruption. According to Jasher, Abraham's father, Terah, was a renowned idol maker in the city of Ur, serving under King Nimrod. But from a young age, Abraham sensed a different calling. Jasher 11:16 recounts Abraham questioning his father, "Why do you worship these lifeless idols that cannot see or hear, instead of the God who created the heavens and the earth?" This challenge marked Abraham as someone who dared to confront traditional beliefs. He destroyed his father's idols, an act that became a public declaration of his faith in the one true God. But this action was not without cost. According to Jasher, Nimrod, upon hearing about Abraham's rebellion, ordered his execution. Terah, fearing for his son's life, hid Abraham, allowing him to grow up in secrecy. Jasher portrays Abraham as a courageous man, willing to risk everything to uphold the truth he believed in. This courage became the foundation of his steadfast faith, which he would demonstrate throughout his life. Abraham's story in Jasher teaches us that faith often demands standing against the prevailing values of the era and that one brave act can pave the way for significant changes in God's plan. Jasher also expands the story of Joseph, adding emotional depth and drama to his journey from a beloved son to a powerful leader in Egypt. The story describes the jealousy and envy of Joseph's brothers, leading to their plot to kill him but ultimately deciding to sell him into slavery. Jasher 41:29 captures their internal struggle. "Shall we kill our brother, the beloved of our father? Will his blood not haunt us forever?" From the moment he was sold into slavery, Joseph faced numerous trials, from humiliation and temptation to long days of imprisonment. Yet, he never lost faith and remained steadfastly loyal to God. Jasher 44:14 recounts his determination during captivity. "I will not sin against God, for his eyes are upon me, and his ears hear my voice in the darkness." Jasher uses Joseph's story to highlight the power of perseverance and faith. Despite being betrayed by those closest to him, Joseph maintained his integrity and loyalty to God, demonstrating that faith transcends circumstances. When Joseph finally rose to power and reconciled with his brothers, the story emphasized a profound message of forgiveness and redemption, affirming that no betrayal, pain, or injustice can derail God's plan. Moses' story in Jasher also offers a richer perspective on his early years in Egypt. Moses is portrayed not only as a prophet but also as a formidable warrior, leading Egyptian forces in battles while contending with envy and scheming within Pharaoh's court. Jasher 67:11 recounts Moses leading the Egyptian army against enemies, earning both admiration and jealousy from those in Pharaoh's palace. But Moses' role extended beyond that of a warrior. Jasher describes his inner turmoil as he witnessed the suffering of the Hebrews. Learning of his true heritage, he became an ally of the Israelites, leading to his direct confrontation with Pharaoh. Jasher depicts Moses not only demanding freedom for his people but also engaging in both spiritual and physical battles against Egypt's most powerful leaders and sorcerers. In Jasher 79:36, as Moses faced the Egyptian magicians, he demonstrated that his power came from a higher authority. The magicians could not stand against Moses, for the might of God was with him. Moses' story in Jasher highlights the combination of strength and faith, demonstrating that when God chooses someone, he equips them with everything necessary to fulfill their mission. Moses was not only a leader but also a symbol of courage, spiritual strength, and unwavering faith in God's deliverance. Through the stories of Abraham, Joseph, and Moses, Jasher provides profound lessons on faith, loyalty, and forgiveness. It encourages us to view these characters not merely as distant legends but as individuals who faced trials, confronted fears, and overcame temptations to live according to God's plan. Jasher is not merely a supplement to the canonical Bible but a powerful source of inspiration, reminding us of the value of courage, forgiveness, and faith in life. These stories do not just recount the past but invite us to live a life of purpose, courage, and unwavering trust in God. The book of Jasher offers deeper insights into the roles of angels and miracles in biblical narratives, particularly through the story of Moses. Moses is portrayed not only as a prophet but also as a warrior guided by supernatural forces. Jasher adds many new details, showing how angels supported Moses in his confrontation with Pharaoh and the Egyptian court, known for its sorcery and pagan power. In Jasher 79:35, God is described as sending an angel to strengthen Moses, helping him not to falter before the challenges posed by the Egyptian magicians. These angels not only protected Moses but also acted as catalysts for his mission, symbolizing God's direct intervention in liberating the Israelites. Jasher also highlights how angels carried out the plagues upon Egypt to demonstrate God's supreme power over Pharaoh's idols and sorcerers. This underscores that God's justice is not only swift but executed through divine beings with absolute precision and strength. Jasher also expands the story of Abraham's confrontation with King Nimrod. Jasher 8:30 recounts an angel appearing to Abraham during a moment of danger, reassuring him, "Fear not, for the Lord is with you." The presence of angels not only protected Abraham but also strengthened his faith, enabling him to endure severe hardships. When Abraham prepared to sacrifice Isaac, an angel intervened, stopping him and reminding him that God's trials are not meant to cause suffering but to strengthen faith. Jasher also recounts Jacob's famous dream, where he saw a ladder connecting heaven and earth with angels ascending and descending. This image symbolizes the divine connection between God and his people, reaffirming God's covenant with Jacob. Through this dream, Jasher emphasizes that those chosen by God always have his protection and guidance, even in times of exile or danger. The story of Joshua and the conquest of Canaan is also enriched in Jasher, with depictions of angels participating in battles to help Israel triumph over seemingly insurmountable strongholds. In the Battle of Jericho, Jasher describes how angels weakened the city's defenses, ensuring Israel's victory. Jasher 88:63 states, "The Lord heard Joshua's prayer, and the angels commanded the sun to stand still over Gibeon." The stories in Jasher not only recount supernatural events but also highlight profound spiritual values. From Abraham's unwavering faith to Joseph's perseverance and Moses' courage, Jasher illustrates that faith is not a passive concept but an active and sometimes dangerous choice to stand with God, even when the world opposes you. Simultaneously, Jasher underscores divine justice, reminding readers that God's justice, though sometimes delayed, is always fulfilled, and nothing can thwart his plan. Finally, Jasher presents the idea of transformation. Its central figures continually grow through trials and choices, evolving from young individuals facing great challenges into instruments of God's will. These stories teach that greatness in God's kingdom is often born from suffering, struggle, and trust in his greater purpose. In Jasher, the story of Joshua praying for the sun to stand still to secure Israel's victory is expanded with the presence of angels. Jasher 88:63 records, "The Lord heard Joshua's prayer, and the angels commanded the sun to stand still over Gibeon." In this context, angels operate not only on an earthly level but also on a cosmic scale, demonstrating their influence over time and nature. Such stories in Jasher reinforce the idea that Israel's victories are not solely due to human strength or strategy but through divine support. The angels in Jasher are portrayed as warrior allies, emphasizing the message that God fights for his people, sending his messengers to ensure victory and protect the chosen ones. The book presents a powerful theology of divine intervention, in which angels serve as guides, protectors, or executors of God's judgment. They are deeply involved in human events, affirming that God's hand is always at work. Jasher highlights that faith in God includes trust in unseen forces. The angels serve as testimonies to God's power, offering comfort to believers that they are never alone in their battles. The book also reiterates an important theme: God never abandons his people to face impossible challenges on their own. He sends his messengers to guide, protect, or fight for them during the most turbulent times. The stories in Jasher remind us that divine intervention is not just a reality of the past but an ongoing one. These interventions continue to guide, protect, and strengthen those who walk in faith. Prophecy in Jasher often appears as blessings and predictions, shaping the destinies of tribes and nations. A notable example is Abraham's blessing for Isaac before his death. Abraham declared, "Your descendants will become a multitude of nations, and through them, all peoples on earth will be blessed." Jasher 26:18. This prophecy reiterates God's covenant with Abraham, laying the foundation for Israel's historical role. Jasher uses this moment to emphasize that the lives of the patriarchs are part of a divine chain of events spanning generations. Isaac also continued this tradition when he blessed his sons, Jacob and Esau. Jasher delves deeper into Isaac's sorrow as he realized that Esau's path would diverge from the righteous lineage. The contrast between Jacob, the chosen son, and Esau, whose descendants would become adversaries of Israel, is more vividly portrayed in Jasher. These blessings and curses foreshadow future struggles between Israel and Edom, reminding readers that every choice, every blessing, or disobedience leaves long-lasting consequences. Joseph's dream is another example of prophecy in Jasher, highlighting his unique connection to God's plan. The dreams of the sheaves and celestial bodies bowing before him, described in greater detail in Jasher, not only symbolize Joseph's rise to power but also the preservation of the nation of Israel. Although his brothers mocked him, his father, Jacob, sensed the profound significance of these visions. Through these prophetic stories, Jasher encourages readers to trust in God's plan, even when it may not be clear in the present. The prophecies in Jasher not only predict the future but also serve as a source of motivation to live steadfastly and place faith in God's divine purpose. Joseph's dreams are not merely forewarnings of his ascent but part of a divine plan to protect Israel from future famine. Jasher emphasizes that Joseph's rise was not for personal glory but to fulfill God's sacred mission. These dreams served as assurances, helping Joseph endure betrayal and suffering with the knowledge that his life was part of God's grand plan. Joseph's story in Jasher reminds readers that prophecy does not always bring immediate rewards. Instead, it can lead through trials to ultimately fulfill God's promises. Through this story, Jasher encourages readers to trust in God's timing, even when His purpose remains hidden. One of the most powerful prophetic moments in Jasher occurs when Moses, still within Pharaoh's court, receives a vision of Israel's future. Jasher 7:13 describes Moses feeling profound sorrow for his people and foreseeing the suffering they would endure under Pharaoh's oppression. This prophecy not only foretells the plagues upon Egypt but also foreshadows the long and arduous journey through the wilderness and the challenges Israel would face in establishing a nation. This vision became a moment of awakening, strengthening Moses' resolve to align himself with his people rather than enjoy the comforts of Pharaoh's palace. According to Jasher, this vision not only predicted the Exodus but also the difficulties that would test Israel's faith after their escape from Egypt. Jasher emphasizes that being chosen by God often requires abandoning personal comfort to pursue a higher purpose. The ability to foresee the future became a burden Moses had to bear, as he not only saw Israel's immediate future but also the moral and spiritual battles ahead. Jasher also includes apocalyptic elements, predicting future conflicts between Israel and its adversaries. For instance, Jasher 57:36 describes Esau's hostility toward Jacob as the beginning of a prolonged struggle between their descendants. This conflict is not merely a territorial or familial dispute but becomes a symbol of the battle between good and evil, foreshadowing future confrontations between Israel and opposing empires. Jasher situates these conflicts within the context of a broader cosmic struggle, showing that Israel's destiny is intertwined with the fight for moral and spiritual integrity. This apocalyptic theme aligns with later prophetic texts, such as those in Daniel and Revelation, which depict the forces of darkness rising against God's chosen people in the last days. The apocalyptic undertones in Jasher remind us that the journey of faith is not merely a personal quest but part of a greater struggle. By portraying Israel's enemies as representatives of rebellion and spiritual opposition, Jasher calls believers to recognize that their trials are part of a grand battle encompassing both earthly and spiritual dimensions. Ultimately, Jasher uses prophetic and apocalyptic themes to teach profound lessons about faith, perseverance, and the power of divine promises. The prophecies in Jasher are not only meant to predict the future but also to encourage steadfastness in the present. Through the stories of Joseph, Moses, and the patriarchs, Jasher emphasizes that being chosen by God always requires sacrifice, but every trial is part of His perfect plan. The book of Jasher is not merely a tool to foretell the future but a call to steadfastness in the present. Just as Abraham, Joseph, and Moses endured trials with faith in God's promises, Jasher urges readers to place their full trust in His ultimate plan, even when faced with hardship and uncertainty. In Jasher, prophecy is described as both a gift and a great responsibility. Those granted prophetic insight often face greater challenges to bear witness to God's grand design. This message resonates through the stories of the patriarchs, each of whom made personal sacrifices to fulfill divine purposes. Jasher teaches that prophecy is not a guarantee of an easy path but a call to live faithfully, trusting that God's promises will be fulfilled in His perfect timing. The apocalyptic themes in Jasher also remind us that while God's people may face opposition, their destiny is always secure in His hands. By framing Israel's struggles within a prophetic context, Jasher encourages readers to view their lives as part of a larger spiritual battle that will ultimately lead to God's victory. The book of Jasher is not merely a record of the past but a guide for living with courage, patience, and unwavering faith in God's eternal plan. A foundational value in Jasher's teachings is integrity. The book emphasizes the importance of remaining faithful to God's commandments regardless of circumstances. Figures such as Abraham, Joseph, and Moses clearly demonstrate the meaning of living with unwavering faith, even when confronted with trials that could easily lead others to compromise. For instance, Abraham steadfastly refused to bow to idols, even when doing so could mean death. His resolute faith stemmed from a profound belief in the one true God, and Jasher presents this as a definitive example of integrity. In Jasher 12:42, Abraham declares, "I will not bow down, for there is only one true God, and him alone shall I serve." Joseph's story is another testament to integrity. Despite being betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, and falsely accused, Joseph did not become bitter or vengeful. Instead, he held firmly to his faith, rejected sin, and trusted in God's greater plan. Jasher emphasizes that this inner strength was the reason for Joseph's rise to power in Egypt. Even when faced with trials, Joseph lived with a clear conscience, demonstrating that true integrity is unshaken by external circumstances. Through these stories, Jasher teaches that a life of faith requires an uncompromising commitment to righteousness. Integrity, as portrayed in Jasher, is not only a personal virtue but also a public witness to God's power. The examples of Abraham and Joseph show that even in betrayal or persecution, those who live with integrity will be protected and blessed by God. Another important theme in Jasher is humility, described as the foundation of true greatness. Jasher contrasts those who embrace humility with those corrupted by pride, demonstrating that humility opens the door to God's grace, while arrogance invites downfall. For example, Moses' rise as a leader of Israel was built on profound humility. Moses is initially depicted as reluctant to lead, feeling unworthy of the task. This humility made him worthy of God's calling. In Jasher 73:18, God reassures Moses, "Fear not, for I am with you. It is not by your strength but by my power that Israel shall be redeemed." This portrayal emphasizes that greatness in God's kingdom is not measured by power or status but by the ability to serve others with a humble heart. Jasher also illustrates humility through the character of David, who, despite eventually becoming king, began his life as a humble shepherd. David always revered God and respected authority, particularly his reluctance to harm King Saul, even though Saul persistently sought to kill him. These actions clearly reflect David's humility and reverence for God. These stories in Jasher call us to live with integrity, humility, and steadfast faith in God's power, even when faced with the greatest challenges. The book of Jasher emphasizes that humility is the foundation of enduring glory. The stories of David and Saul clearly illustrate that God elevates the humble and brings down the proud. David, though aware he would become king, maintained reverence for Saul and refused to harm him, even when Saul repeatedly sought David's life. These actions are clear signs of David's humility and fear of God. Jasher also emphasizes the importance of compassion and justice, particularly toward the vulnerable and oppressed. The heroes in Jasher frequently show care for the poor and marginalized, reflecting God's heart. Compassion is not just an individual virtue but a societal obligation, a principle for communities to live by to reflect God's nature. For instance, Abraham is portrayed as a kind leader who always opened his door to travelers, providing food and water to those in need. In Jasher 22:15, it is written, "Abraham opened his door to travelers, gave bread to the hungry, and water to the thirsty, for his heart was kind." This highlights that Abraham's greatness was rooted not only in his faith but also in his compassion for all people. Joseph, as a ruler in Egypt, is also a model of justice. He ensured that all who came to him during the famine were treated fairly, regardless of nationality. This dedication became even more evident when he arranged to protect and provide for his family during difficult times. Joseph's compassionate leadership in Jasher stands in stark contrast to the selfish ambitions of others, affirming that true leadership prioritizes the welfare of all over personal gain. Through these stories, Jasher teaches that justice cannot be separated from compassion. A society reflecting God's kindness is one where the vulnerable are protected, the oppressed are defended, and mercy is extended to all. This theme resonates throughout the book, calling readers to live empathetically and act justly within their communities. Perseverance in adversity is another virtue highly valued in Jasher. The stories of Joseph and Moses particularly highlight this theme, showing that perseverance is born of faith in God's purpose. When Joseph faced betrayal and imprisonment, he chose to honor God rather than let his circumstances defeat him. In Jasher 42:28, Joseph says, "Though I am cast down, I know that the Lord will raise me up, for his plans are good." Moses also demonstrated perseverance, particularly during the long and challenging journey through the wilderness. He faced opposition not only from external enemies but also from within his own people, who often doubted or rebelled. Yet, Moses remained steadfast, holding on to the vision of the promised land and trusting in God's promises. Through this image, Jasher encourages readers to persevere through difficulties, emphasizing that faith requires strength and patience over time. Jasher also highlights moral accountability, teaching that every action has consequences. Through figures like Cain, Nimrod, and Esau, the book illustrates the destructive power of disobedience and selfish ambition. Jasher 27:1 recounts the fate of Nimrod, who, in his pride, challenged God's authority and was brought low. Nimrod said, "I will establish my own kingdom, no other shall rule over me," but the Lord brought him down. This emphasis on moral accountability is not merely punitive but serves as a warning and a call to repentance. The stories in Jasher remind readers that God's laws are not arbitrary but are designed to protect and guide his people. Disobedience, therefore, is not only rebellion against God but a self-destructive path. Through virtues like integrity, humility, compassion, perseverance, and accountability, Jasher paints a vision of righteous living, challenging readers to reflect on their own lives. The book calls us to pursue a life of faith guided by principles that transcend time and circumstance. Thank you for watching this video to the end. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to the Spiritual Journey and turn on notifications to stay connected to our weekly content. Together, let us draw closer to God. See you in the next video.